Well, hello everyone. Whoops. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney. Oh wow! Oh my god, I'm like 10 seconds in and this went off a cliff. Accidental button input, wrong game? Oh lord, I'm in trouble. Right, so, yeah, I was planning on opening this video by saying that you'll have to forgive me if I've forgotten some details, because it's like, right now my headspace is like 10% Ace Attorney, like 20% Elden Ring expansion, 20% Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail, and 50% other stuff in my life, so it's like, okay. Alright, we found weird evidence, blood on a coin that shouldn't have been there, managed to convince the prosecutor to bring this to trial. Now shenanigans will happen. Oh, let's get to it, shall we? Oh, pray for me. Court is now in session for the trial of Aura Shipley. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Must we waste words on this? Prosecutor Simon Blackquill, known as the Twisted Samurai, he's a prosecutor who's also a convicted felon. They say he never conducts a trial without his loyal hawk, Taka, by his side. His loyal hawk? Mr. Wright, it's been quite a while since I've seen you like that. The lawyer image suits you. You look younger somehow. Thank you, Your Honor. And you look as young as ever yourself. Well, I have to keep up with you folks after all. By the way, has the defendant arrived in court yet? Surely you jest, Your Boldness. Did you not receive the memo? The defendant, Aura Shipley, is an orca at Shipshape Aquarium. An orca? You did not get the memo. Arrangements for this trial were made only yesterday, so I didn't have time to review. But an orca as a defendant, it's patently absurd. Direct your comments to the defense. He's the absurd fellow who insisted on defending the orca in court in the first place. Absurd or not, I will carry out my duty to defend my client. Your duty to defend your crying aunt? Don't you mean your crying orca, Mr. Wright? That was a bad one, Judge. Boo. If we are to proceed, we must treat the orca as we would any other defendant. Every soul, be it of a man or beast, is of equal value. The question is whether that soul is painted in black or white. Wow. Gray does not exist. Take Taka, for example. He is as human in spirit as you or I. The real question is, am I in for more pain? As always. Orca or not, I suppose the defendant is still a defendant. And I vow to render my verdict fairly and impartially. Now then, Prosecutor Blackquill, your opening statement, if you would. I suppose I can hardly leave it to someone who knew nothing of the defendant. Very well, listen carefully. The orca murdered the owner of Shipshape Aquarium in the aquarium's orca pool. The orca apparently toyed with the victim mercilessly as he died. A sadistic orca, what a chilling thought. And where exactly is this defendant now? Inside this. A cell phone, Prosecutor Blackquill? Time marches on, Your Baldness, with or without us. I borrowed this TV phone from the aquarium, which will allow us to interact with the orca. A TV phone? Very well, the court accepts it into evidence. Well, that's, interesting. Alright. You will be able to view the defendant in question on this large monitor. Fulbright, prepare for transmission. Ha ha ha! You've got it, Prosecutor Blackquill! We will proceed with the defendant on telecast. So that is the Orca that stands accused, is it? Oh my god. Why does it feel like we're about to cross-examine the frickin' Orca? Aw, she's waving her flipper at us. Maybe she's cheering us on? Orla, wish Phoenix and Athena luck. Oh, it's quite cute, isn't it? And this adorable creature is suspected of killing a man. Orla's really pouring on the charm, huh? She is far from cute. She is a violent, reckless animal. You know, I would think you would like it because it's black and white, but here we are, I guess. That's right. The name's Bobby Fulbright, and I'll take over the explaining from here. Now, if I could direct your attention to this diagram of the crime scene. Following the report of an orca attack, we the police raced on over to Shipshape Aquarium. There we found a guest who says she saw the orca and the victim from the visitor's corridor. As the witness was watching, the orca suddenly went crazy and attacked the victim. The orca was the only one there, therefore no one else could have committed the crime. It's not quite finished, but I have a portion of the autopsy report here. Instant death from a brain contusion. There are signs of blunt force trauma all over the body. Yeah, I don't think any of that will, contradict the initial story that that Captain Jack died from a headbutt? A nose boop? Something like that. I can't imagine the terror of being attacked underwater by such a large creature. But attack it did. Prepare yourself for the grisly details, your baldness. The prosecution moves to introduce our witness, Fulbright. You got it, Prosecutor Blackquill. In justice we trust. One brave lady whose fine sense of justice compelled her to speak, coming right up. How dare you make me wait? Don't you know I'm a busy woman? I could have written an entire book for all the time I spent in that lobby. Prosecutor Blackquill? Well? I am Norma de Plume, and I'm a non-fiction writer. Am I the only one who isn't telepathic here? Looks like she can read into people's words just as well as I can read into people's hearts. Not everything needs to be a competition, Athena. What? Norma de Plume, the great non-fiction writer, Miss Norma de Plume herself. I've read all of your works and enjoyed them immensely. Your million seller, The Great Grief of the Great Thief, is one of my favorites. That is a good title. Oh, are you a fan, Your Honor? I could give you my autograph if you'd like. Wait a second. I could swear you looked much different in the photos in your book. Well, I use ones from 10 years ago in my book so that the paparazzi won't harass me. Oh, that's a good cover. Good cover. The judge seems so shocked. The visual disconnect must really be doing a number on His Honor's head. Could we get started, please? If I find you to be lacking as a judge, you will see your debut in my books. Such harsh comments. You really must be the real Norma de Plume. Who knew Miss de Plume was so famous? Enough jabbering. Tell the court what you saw and keep it brief. I would thank you to not order me around. I am perfectly willing to tell everyone what I witnessed. It was the moment of the murder.
Very well, then. Please proceed with your testimony.
This should be good. I went to Shipshape Aquarium to see the killer whale. As I was watching the killer whale from the visitor's corridor, it suddenly went crazy. I saw the killer whale bite the victim to death with its huge mouth and deadly teeth. Attempting to remain calm, I reported the incident to the police immediately. Well, I think we have a contradiction there. It didn't bite to death. It was an impact to the head that did it, right?
That adorable defendant really did all that? It must be much more vicious than it looks.
Now, deliver your judgment so I may carry out the sentence.
Objection!
The defense would like to do some defending first, if that's all right. Must you drag this out with your tomfoolery? He would say tomfoolery.
Hold it!
The defense always has the right to cross-examine the witness, you know. A fellow inmate told me just this morning. If you want something signed, all you need is a document and a witness. Let me guess, they were convicted for contract fraud, right? All we need in this case... Yeah, the answer is yes. All we need in this case is the evidence and a witness to convict. It's as simple as that. Looks like I guessed right. Sorry, but as Miss Sykes said, the defense has every right to cross-examine. Isn't that correct, Your Honor?
Yes, of course. You may proceed with your cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
I shall relish the sight of you thrashing around in vain.
Bring it.
I went to Shipshape Aquarium to see the killer whale.
Hold it!
Why did you want to see the orca? Well, it is the featured attraction of the aquarium, after all. Why waste energy on such tripe? There is but one attraction in Shipshape Aquarium that is worth anyone's time. And that is the penguins. Isn't that right, Taka, my friend? He really does have a thing for black and white. Alrighty then, I guess Prosecutor Blackquill is for the birds. But dumb Tish. Guess I should jot that down. Note to self, Prosecutor Blackquill is on Team Rifle. Alright, the penguin. Yeah, oh yeah, with the backpack. Huh.
And so you went to see the orca in its tank?
Yes, that's right. As I was watching the killer whale from the visitor's corridor, it suddenly went crazy.
Hold it!
The orca suddenly went crazy, did she? Yes, it took a look at me and then all at once it started going berserk. Did you do anything to make her angry? I did nothing more than simply glare at it from the visitor's corridor. She glared at Orla? And that's what caused her to go berserk.
Objection!
The reason the defendant went mad is not the issue here. Only what she did when she entered that state. In any case, the killer whale began behaving wildly in front of my very eyes, and then I saw the killer whale bite the victim to death with its huge mouth and deadly teeth. You know, just earlier today I saw a Reddit post comparing the bite force, like the PSI per square inch bite force for a bunch of animals. Like, humans had like 160 PSI. Orcas had 19,000. For comparison, a gorilla has
1800. It's crazy.
Hold it!
So you're saying you saw the very moment of the victim's death? That is exactly what I'm saying. Oh, it was simply dreadful. It was as frightening as losing one's manuscript just before a deadline. I suppose for a writer that would be pretty terrifying. I wonder how the person who wrote this line here in this game felt when they wrote this. I witnessed the killer whale's horrific act, and I knew I had to do something, so... Attempting to remain calm, I reported the incident to the police immediately.
Hold it!
Why were the police the first ones you contacted? I was afraid if I told the aquarium staff, they might try to cover it up. Of course, I immediately told aquarium security after my call to the police. I believe I deserve praise for my swift decision-making skills under pressure. Mr. Plume is the most assertive witness I've ever seen. What about Windbag? Wendy Oldbag. What about her? That was assertive. Mostly ass. A little bit of tiv. Erdiv, yeah. We'd better do our best to look like big shot lawyers if you want to match her intensity. Mr. Plume, I praise your swift decision-making skills under pressure. That was more kiss up than big shot.
I suppose it was unrealistic to expect big shot from Mr. Wright.
How fitting for a small fry to praise a big shot. How about cutting the small fry some slack, you big meanies? The important thing here is, does she really see the moment of the murder? You're raring to go, aren't you, Mr. Wright? I see it in your eyes, and in your heart. I guess I really am a lawyer at heart. Here we go. This should be simple. Bite the victim to death. No. No, the autopsy doesn't actually mention anything about bite marks.
Objection!
It would seem that you are mistaken, Mr. Plume. I beg your pardon. The autopsy report does indeed say death thought to be a result of orca attack. But the actual cause of death is contusion from head trauma, not being bitten. What? But I'm sure the victim was bitten. I don't believe that can be true. The security footage doesn't show anything of the kind.
Objection!
Just as I suspected. I knew you would peek at the footage behind Fulbright's back. Well, what did you expect when he wouldn't play nice and share? But unfortunately for you, the footage you saw was only one small part. Huh? Yesterday, after I decided to take this case to trial, I re-reviewed all of the evidence. Taka, the evidence I gave to you for safekeeping. Guess that hawk is higher up on the pecking order than Fulbright and Blackwell's book.
Very well, let's view the footage.
He's used to it by now.
What's this? The orca is biting the victim.
God, that man is huge compared to, the Plume. Wow. Compared to the orca, even. Then again, this was made for a tiny screen on the 3DS, so... No way!
I have to say that this appears to be very damning evidence.
Uh-oh. No! I can't believe Orlo really bit him. And there is more. Look at this. I don't see any blood whatsoever. But... oh. What is that mark on his right hand? Also, I can't help but notice he has an empty scabbard, which clearly is supposed to house the walkie-talkie. Why is his walkie-talkie missing? Ooh. There's shenanigans afoot. This photograph was taken while the body was being examined.
There seems to be a strange bruise on the victim's right wrist.
I'll have the crime lab examine the bruise and calculate its relevance to the case at hand. What's important right now is evidence that points to the orca as the killer. Look at the left side of the body. See the orca's tooth marks in the victim's clothes.
Yes, they do appear to suggest that she did, in fact, bite the victim.
I told you so. And then the killer whale swam up toward the surface with the victim in its mouth.
Objection!
However, in the autopsy report, the cause of death is contusion from head trauma.
Objection!
You are much too impetuous, right, Dono? Granted, the orca biting the victim was not the cause of death. The witness was mistaken about that.
Then what explanation is there for what the witness saw?
Did I not say in the beginning, the orca toyed with the victim mercilessly?
My goodness.
After killing the victim, the defendant swam around with his dead body in her mouth. Just like any other predator toying with its prey. Mr. Wright, the hearts of the people in the gallery are suddenly filled with fear. Fear of Orla.
So the defendant bit the victim after she had killed him. But if that's the case, then we must still figure out how the defendant killed the victim. Prosecutor Blackquill, do you have a sound theory to give to this court?
I wouldn't be standing here if I couldn't prove whether the orca's heart was black or white. But Orla is black and white. Her body, I mean. Athena, please try not to provoke Prosecutor Blackquill. I wonder what Blackquill thinks about zebras. Are they white with black stripes or black with white stripes? I want to hear him answer that question. This witness also observed the actual moment of the murder. Think back, word mistress. Think back to what you observed before the orca bit the victim. Ah, I see what you're driving at. So that was the true moment of the murder, was it? Now, explain it in a way that even these simpletons can understand. There you go again, ordering me around. Stop that this instant. But whatever, I don't mind telling my story. I saw the killer whale before it toyed with the body as well. I saw it the moment it killed the victim by headbutting him. Orla killed the victim by headbutting him? That's right. It rammed the victim over and over again. Recall that the autopsy report stated that there was bruises all over his body. Recall as well how persistent the defendant can be when she's attacking her prey. And we all just saw the killer whale headbutting the victim in the footage, don't forget. Huh. That footage backs up Mr. Plume's testimony. So, what is that big black cloud? It's probably not blood. Yeah, it's definitely not blood. That's why this is black and white. It covers up the color of what's really going on there. Or who knows, maybe it's a censorship thing. But there's also something very important it does not show. Wait. Yeah. Now do you see what a menace this killer whale is?
Objection!
I'm sorry, but I can't allow your testimony to stand unchallenged. Looking at this footage, the orca certainly seems to be headbutting something. But you'll know that the something is not the victim. Oh! What? What? Marilyn Monroe? Where'd the air come from? What? Huh? What? I want to look away, but I can't. Even if it was the victim, you couldn't have seen him from where you were, could you? What? Oh, well, I suppose not. Mr. Plume, did you actually witness the victim getting headbutted by the defendant? Let's see. Oh, I remember now. As I recall, a rock in the shape of a skull was obstructing my view.
So you are admitting that you couldn't see the victim?
Yes, I suppose I am. However, immediately after the headbutting, the victim came floating up. He came out from behind the skull-shaped rock and his body was all limp. What else could I think except that the killer whale was headbutting the victim?
Objection!
But if you didn't actually see the moment of the attack itself, then it's pure conjecture.
Objection!
Must I do everything around here? How dare you speak so rudely to me? There's no need for hysterics. Clear your mind and recall how you reached your conclusion. Though you couldn't see what the orca was attacking, you didn't need to, did you? Because you knew she was behaving exactly as she had only 1 year prior. Oh. 1 year ago. That's right. Yes, that's it. That's how I knew the killer whale was headbutting the victim. I'm sorry, but could someone explain exactly what happened a year ago? If you must know, a very similar incident occurred only last year, in which the defendant murdered her trainer. What?
What? The orca murdered her trainer, you say?
Oh. What? Is this really true? This is not looking good for us. The Killer Whale by Norma de Plume. That's an awful cover. It's all in this book.
That book? The Killer Whale? That's Miss de Plume's latest work. I was just thinking of picking that up.
We can look inside. Whoa. New music? Who is that? Huh. Okay. What? That... Oh, okay, let's, Oh, it just shows this. Huh. Why is this laid out like a newspaper tabloid? Well, okay, so there's something directly underneath this dead trainer's right hand. I don't know what it is. There's no sign of blood or any other kind of injury. The scabbard, however, which has the walkie-talkie in it, pointedly, has an odd pattern. It's like a orca bite, but one tooth is missing. Honestly, it looks like someone, like a human, used their fingers to puncture through it. Like you would like cling wrap or something like that. Huh. Last year, the defendant killed her trainer in the middle of a show. The orca headbutted and bit the victim. Wait, during a show? So there's a crowd of witnesses? The same thing she's accused of in this case. Uh-oh. That thing is a menace. Guilty, I say. Never want to go to the beach again. No! Now everyone's even more convinced that Orla did it. You were doing so well, but now everyone in the room has a bad impression of Orla. I don't want to think she did it. It's hard to keep on believing in somebody who can't even tell me her side. Phoenix, Athena, you gotta believe in Orla. There's no way she killed anybody. You gotta save her, please, I'm begging you. Sasha, what am I doing doubting my client like this? This is the time to be strong. I believe in Orla, and I'm ready to fight for our clients. I'll take everybody in this courtroom on if I have to. Don't you worry, Sasha. We won't give up on Orla. We'll defend her to the very end. Thank you. Thank you, both of you. We are Orla's lawyers. Who else but us can save her? We can't give up on her now. For an instant there, you were afraid of the orca, weren't you, right, Dono? When you saw the photograph of the victim from a year ago, you turned paler than me. You saw right through me. It's obvious you have neither the guts nor the determination to defend the orca. It's true that Orla can't speak, and I don't know her thoughts. But there's a certain someone who believes in Orla with all her heart. I respect the trust she has in Orla, so I'm willing to believe in Orla too. And what do you know about orcas? Nothing, that's what. So allow me to fill you in. Do you have any idea why orcas are also called killer whales? Because they are cunning and merciless predators that hunt and kill even true whales.
So killer whales really are killers. What terrifying creatures indeed.
I can't bear to hear any more of such rubbish as trusting a killer. Can you, your baldness? No matter what you say, I will continue to believe. I don't give up that easily, you know. Dullard, you don't know when to give up, do you? Very well, I shall give you a chance to prove just how determined you are. Witness, spare no quarter in laying the full truth on them. Oh, but of course, that is what I do after all.
Prosecutor Blackquill, what will you have that witness testify about?
I shall have her testify about what she saw and what she heard. What she heard?
Very well, Mr. Plume. Please tell the court what you saw and what you heard.
The killer whale's behavior was exactly the same as a year ago. As I approached the pool, the killer whale suddenly started singing. I was calm when I saw it start to headbutt, but when the pirate hat and the victim came floating up, I let out a scream.
It sounds like Captain Jack was down there in the water for a long time.
The hell?
So the orca displayed the same behavior as during the incident a year ago.
That's right. Those weren't just simple cries, it was singing. As I approached the pool, the killer whale suddenly started singing. It kept headbutting while it sang the swashbuckler spectacular song. That's right, it was singing the same song it sang in the aquarium stage show back then. It was singing while it was headbutting. Oh, it was perfectly horrible.
Huh. I don't see a single obvious inconsistency in this testimony. It's clear I won't be able to take her apart her statements with evidence alone.
Mr. Wright, now would be a good time for me to put my skills to work. It's time to show what analytical psychology can really do.
You seem pretty confident. Let me guess. You noticed a contradiction between the testimony and her emotions?
You bet I did. And once we expose it, we just might be able to crack her. No, scratch that. Make it, we'll definitely be able to.
Now let's give your knowledge of analytical psychology a try.
You got it, boss. A complete analysis of Mr. Plume's heart coming right up.
The killer whale's behavior was exactly the same as a year ago. No emotion whatsoever. As I approached the pool, the killer whale suddenly started singing. Yeah, I'd be surprised as well. I was calm when I saw it start to headbutt. Sure, surprise a little, but why in the world would you be distressed during this? And oddly, it's less distress when you saw the body floating around. This one.
Got it!
Mr. Plume, Orla really frightened you with her headbutting, didn't she?
Don't be absurd. I certainly was not frightened by the likes of any killer whale. It must have been something else that scared her then, boss. However, I do remember being very afraid for some reason while it was doing that. It sounds like maybe you saw something we haven't discussed yet. Take your time and try to remember what it was. What did you see?
This is practically turning into a counseling session.
I saw something. Oh, I remember now.
Down to 50%. Almost there.
Okay, good. Now, if you could please tell the court what you saw. I saw bright red blood. The killer whale's ramming caused the victim to bleed. There was a great cloud of blood.
Well, we talked about this, didn't we? Oh, I was wrong. Oh, no.
What? Yes, that's it. That's why I was so sure. That's when I knew that killer whale had killed a person for a second time.
Well, that was a very compelling statement indeed. Looking at this again, there does appear to be something that could be a cloud of blood.
So her terror was a reaction to blood, was it?
That would certainly explain what happened yesterday. Please take a look at this blood-stained coin.
Eek! Cease and desist at once. What kind of man shows a lady blood?
She doesn't have to get so worked up.
I was badly injured during an interview once. Ever since then, I've been terrified of blood.
I'm sorry, rewind.
Badly injured in an interview?
Huh? Like a job interview? Did you once... you once wanted to work at the aquarium, didn't you? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
The very sight of it's dreadfully... Oh, the very sight of it dreadfully upsets my delicate sensibilities.
This is a bad turn. If Mr. Plume saw blood, then does that mean Orla really did attack the victim? It would appear that orcas are even more vicious than I am. So, how does it feel to be thoroughly rammed by your own cross-examination, right, Dono?
What do we do now, boss?
That testimony was not at all what I expected to hear.
Wait a minute. There's still some discord left in Mr. Plume's heart.
What? You mean there's more?
Yes, but there's no telling what it is. It could be something even more damaging. Ugh. Is there even anything left of our case to damage? Well, whatever it is, we have to face it head on. Athena, you believe in Orla, right? If so, there's no reason for us to shy away from the truth. Yeah, you're right. I know we can handle the truth, whatever it is, so let's delve a little deeper. You've got it, boss. Hell yeah. The killer whale's behavior was exactly the same as a year ago. As I approached the pool, the killer whale suddenly started singing. Info update. After it started headbutting, I saw that awful blood and was terrified. This seems correct. But when the pirate hat and victim came floating up, I let out a scream. Do you see any emotions that seem odd or out of place? Pay attention to not only which emotions you see, but how strong they are, too. An emotion might suddenly get stronger. For example, we might see it grow weaker. Okay. Let me listen to her testimony again. Okay, maybe... Alright, so... primarily distress, a little bit of shock. Less distress. Same shock. Less distress. Okay, so your terror turned into letting out a scream, yet you were feeling less distress than before. That does not quite make sense. I think the culprit here is distress. Huh? Her fear appears to lessen here at this statement. Mr. Plume, weren't you afraid when you saw the victim with blood coming out of him? My, that's a very good question. I was shaken after witnessing a murder, yes, but then the blood seemed to disappear. Disappear? And why do you suppose that was? Simple. It was because of the pirate hat. After the killer whale put the hat on, the cloud of blood disappeared. What?
Objection!
And how exactly does that work? How should I know? I'm just telling you what I remember, Blue Boy. Wait a minute. From whom was this blood that Mr. Plume saw actually coming from? Not Captain Jack, surely. Huh? Was it part of the orca's routine? What? From whom was this blood that... From who, not what? Well, clearly no one else is dead or grievously injured, so... It's gotta be... The orca... What?
Take that!
Consider this. Maybe the one who was bleeding wasn't the victim. I beg your pardon? What kind of ridiculous nonsense is that? There was no one else in that pool beside the victim. Oh, I wouldn't say there was no one else. It is an orca pool, after all. What? Then where is this alleged injury on the defendant? I'm not sure. But if simply wearing the pirate hat made the blood disappear... Oh, what? Like a bandage? A bandage? A bandage? Band-aid? No! What? No way, what? Then the blood must have been coming from somewhere on Orla's head. How does... Oh, that does not make sense. Putting on a hat underwater would not stop an injury that could expel that large cloud of blood. I'm sorry, that makes no sense to me. What? The Orca's head? What are you prattling on about now? Please think about it again, Mr. Plume. Think back to what you really saw. That is... The one who was bleeding was not the victim, but the killer whale. I remember now. There wasn't any blood coming from the victim after all. Huh. Huh. We did it! Analytical psychology got us what we needed from her. That was a huge help, Athena. It was also pretty dicey for a while, though.
Well, this is a surprise. The blood the witness saw was the defendant's, not the victim's.
That is correct. And since there was no blood coming from the victim, there's only one thing we can conclude. That what Mr. Plume witnessed was not the moment of the murder, as she claims.
Objection!
I thought you were unarmed, but it turns out you were concealing a sword all along. Nevertheless, it is far too dull to cut to the bone. Meaning? I grant that what the witness saw was not the victim's blood, but it proves nothing. After all, being rammed doesn't always result in a wound that bleeds, does it? Death from internal hemorrhaging is also a possibility. He has a point there. If you wish to challenge me to a duel, you'll need a sharper blade than that, right, Dono? I demand evidence that proves the witness did not see the moment of the murder. Ugh. There must be something. Think, Phoenix. If I'm correct, then the victim's death occurred before De Plume saw it. Yeah, I think the limp body was sent to the bottom of the pool. If the victim was already dead when Orla started her headbutting, then that would mean he died sometime before Mr. Plume was watching her. The events Mr. Plume witnessed took place at around 10:10 a.m. I must have something that can tell us about what happened before 10:10 a.m. The calendar? Okay. Meet the captain of the Orca pool at 7 a.m. Oh my god. I think we're about to implicate Rhymes. Marlon Rhymes. Oh, Pearls is not going to be happy, but, the truth must come out.
Take that!
This is the evidence that proves Mr. Plume did not oh. Right, I got ahead of myself. Yes, this does detail an event that happened before 10, but not something relevant to Plume, right? I jumped the gun. Oh. Huh? I'm not sure that's really related to what Mr. Plume did or didn't witness. But you're not sure, right? No, we can be quite sure it's unrelated.
Yes, quite.
Ouch. Guess we can be. The events Mr. Plume witnessed took place around 10:10 a.m. I must have something that can tell us about what happened before 10:10 a.m. No time there. Ah. Wait, what? Oh no, okay, so... I'm not finding evidence, any evidence whatsoever that points to times other than that calendar. So I'm thinking this may be an instance of something I had to remember from the investigation phase to answer, but it's been over a week and my head's been obsessed with 2 other different video games, so I may be boned. Well, here's something at 10:09. Yeah, the orca was singing, then it started headbutting, then the body floated upward. That's before 10:10. That's before, It's gotta be the footage. What else could it possibly be?
Take that!
We've only seen the footage from 10:09 to 10:10 a.m., which means there's still footage going further back that we need to check. Oh, come on! That's cheating! Your Honor, I request that all of the security footage be played for the court.
All of the footage?
Mr. Plume witnessed the cloud of blood at around 10:10 a.m., but I believe the victim was already dead by that time.
So your assertion is that the murder took place before Mr. Plume arrived?
Exactly. The security camera footage starts at 10 a.m. when the aquarium opened. And I believe that there is vital evidence in the 10 minutes before. You are quite the gambling man, right, Dono? Are you honestly willing to risk everything on these mere 10 minutes? I've bet on slimmer chances before, but when he puts it that way...
Hold it!
My boss is no coward, Prosecutor Blackquill, so I suggest you get ready to eat humble pie. Uh-oh. I can't back down now.
Well, if the defense is that confident in its importance, Prosecutor Blackquill, the security footage.
Fulbright.
Roger, I have the rest of the security footage right here. Very well, please play it for the court.
Please have something for me.
This is what it looked like at 10:10 a.m. The witness can be seen here. All right, I'll just back the footage up to the beginning now.
$10:06.
It appears Mr. Plume hasn't arrived yet at this point.
Now to see if I can find something from before this point in time. 10:03. 10. That was nothing. And that's something. Captain Jack's body was behind that rock for at least 10 minutes. Is that it?
Yup, that's all the footage there is. Well, Mr. Wright, did you see what you were looking for?
We got nothing. Well, Right Dono, those were the 10 minutes you placed your bet on. Did you see anything of significance? Did I see anything important? I better think about this carefully. In the footage, we see...
something important, yeah.
This is the important thing to the footage shows.
It should be behind the rock right here, right? Right here?
Take that!
And what is so vital about that point, Mr. Wright?
Different things are important to different people. Importance is a subjective thing.
Yes, just as my decision to assign a penalty is a subjective thing.
Wait a minute. What if something that should be in the footage isn't there? But please wait, Your Honor. That footage... In the footage we see... Oh, for the love of... We see that nothing important, which is the point. You can see nothing of importance in that footage. Just as I thought. You're right about that. That section was completely meaningless. It doesn't show a thing. That's why I didn't submit it as evidence.
Objection!
God, the backwards logic, okay. No, it's just the opposite.
Huh? What do you mean by that?
In this 10 minutes of footage, something important that should be there isn't there. Detective Fulbright, this footage should have been submitted as evidence.
What? Are you questioning the way I carry out my duty to justice? Mr. Wright, explain yourself, please. What is this important thing that you say should be in the footage, but isn't?
The body?
The body, right? The body.
Take that!
The important thing we should see in the footage is the victim himself, Jack Shipley. I don't know about you, but I didn't see him get in the pool in that footage.
Oh.
Oh, that's right! If the victim is not shown entering the pool in this footage, it means that he must have been there by the skull rock during those 10 minutes. But no human being can hold their breath underwater for that long.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you saying...
When the security camera started up at 10 a.m., the victim was already dead.
What? Order? Order in the court. If that's the case, then when was the victim murdered?
I don't know, Your Honor, but we now know it had to have been sometime before 10 a.m. Therefore, this footage can no longer be called decisive evidence against my client. But there is no one else who could have killed the victim. Not necessarily. The defense believes that the true culprit may have been human. And we have evidence to back up our theory as well. Do you now? I would be very interested in seeing this evidence. The defense's trump card, that thing we found during our investigation yesterday. I wouldn't go so far as to call it decisive, but now's the time to play it.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please submit your evidence. What evidence shows that the crime may have been committed by a human?
Take that!
What's this? A coin?
Yes, a fake coin used in the aquarium's pirate show. We found it beside the pool. This coin is quite possibly the real murder weapon.
This tiny little coin is the murder weapon? Mr. Wright, if this is another one of your bluffs.
As they say, the bolder the presentation, the less confident the solicitor. This is no bluff, and this isn't the only coin. There are 300 of these coins in all, weighing a total of about 7 pounds. This one just happens to have blood on it. Did you have the blood analyzed to see whose it is? Not yet. But there were coins scattered all around the body, and the victim had a head wound. Taking these things into account, I believe it has to be the victim's blood. So, to put it together, we have about 7 pounds of coins by the side of the pool. One of them with a blood stain on it. I think the answer is pretty clear here. Your Honor, the defense proposes that the victim was killed beside the pool.
The side of the pool? But if the murder took place there, it would be difficult to say the orca did it.
I realize you're Oh, sorry. I realize you're trying to defend your client, but that theory is preposterous. Oh. Yeah, sorry, a bit of spit flew back in the wrong tube of my throat. Ugh. How could 300 coins possibly be made to hit someone all at once? It'd be pretty easy if they were in a bag or something of that nature.
And so, where is this bag the coins were in?
Unfortunately, Your Honor, we recovered nothing of the sort from the scene. It's possible that the culprit took it with them.
They took it?
The true culprit used the coins as a blunt instrument to commit murder. They then threw the body into the pool before the security cameras started up. And then they left, taking the bag the coins were in with them. They got rid of the evidence that points to a human culprit to pin the blame on Orla. That was brilliant, Mr. Wright. You found a way to introduce the possibility of a human perpetrator. Yeah, somehow. Let's hope my luck holds out. Huh. I wonder why Prosecutor Blackwell hasn't said anything.
The possibility of a perpetrator other than the defendant has now been suggested. But if we hold this possibility to be true, then what did Miss de Plume witness?
That's right. I saw the killer whale attack the victim. Just like it did a year ago, singing a song. Huh. I guess there still is that. Even with somebody else as a culprit, Orla's behavior still seems pretty bizarre. Wonder why she was doing the same thing she did a year ago. Well, you see, she went berserk and went all funny because she heard the silent whistle that only the orca can hear. That's why. Yeah, whoever was really behind it signaled the orca to uncover the body, thereby framing it. Yeah. Yeah, damn, I think I have like nearly the full picture. Someone bludgeons the captain, dumps his body in the pool, then gets to an advantageous position, and when they notice the first guest arrive to look at the orca, they blow the whistle. The orca begins the routine of holding someone in their mouth, gets the body, and bam, the witness thinks the orca killed this dude. Perfect cover-up. Oh, there's gotta be something more to it, though. There's gotta be. But is it really that bizarre? What do you mean? To explain the inexplicable, all we have to do is turn our thinking around. Turn our thinking around? Huh? Sounds pretty good to me. Time to give the old turn my thinking around method a try. Instead of trying to figure out why Orla did the same thing she did a year ago, I should consider the results that were produced by her behavior this time around. Orla sang a song, did some headbutts, and bit the victim. If the real culprit wanted to shift the suspicion onto Orla, then they would have needed to give people a reason to think Orla did it in the first place.
Mr. Wright, as her lawyer, how do you explain your client's actions?
I believe we should think of it in this way, Your Honor. What kind of effect did Orla's actions have on the case?
Very well, then why don't you explain it for the court? How did the defendant's actions affect the case?
They created a witness. I was just talking about this. Mr. Plume focused her attention on the orca pool because she heard the song. The orca's act of singing a song created a witness.
Created a witness?
Isn't it possible that fabricating a witness was the real culprit's true intention? After all, Mr. Plume witnessed two things. She saw Orla headbutt something over and over, and she saw the orca bite the victim. Those two actions of Orla's might have been the real culprit's plot to make the witness think the orca was attacking the victim.
Are you saying that the defendant was being manipulated by the true perpetrator?
Exactly. And that would explain Orla's actions perfectly.
But the defendant is an orca. Is it even possible to manipulate her?
Yes, there is a way to manipulate Orla's behavior. With this.
Take that!
Is this a whistle?
Yes, Your Honor. Trainers at the aquarium use whistles to issue commands to Orla. But in truth, anyone can do it, provided they know the right signals.
Oh, that must be how they get Orla to do tricks for their pirate shows.
The true culprit hid the body in a spot that couldn't be seen from the visitor's corridor. Then, when Mr. Plumes appeared, they gave Orla the command. In other words, Orla was manipulated by the culprit to perform a series of tricks. What? And as for you, Mr. Plume, you were manipulated by the true culprit to play the part of the witness. Norma de Plume was set up? Norma de Plume, writer extraordinaire, was used? Wow, that's some, No! No! What? Why? What? Weird. Okay.
Mr. Plume, please do something about your attire.
Ugh, that was one wardrobe malfunction I did not want to see.
It would appear we need to shift our suspicion towards someone other than Orla.
Yeah, this is probably the best spot I can think of to end things. We're already over time by 8 minutes, but that's fine. So obviously the biggest suspect here is Marlon Rhymes. He met the captain at 7 earlier that day. But I think it's a herring. A red herring. You know, just going by process of elimination and general feel of the tropes here, I'm pretty sure the vet did it at this point. You know, the aquarium vet that was mentioned in the investigation phase, but we never actually saw them. Yeah, it's probably them. We'll probably meet them next time. It's probably gonna be them, probably. Like, okay, so, like... Look at it this way, so... I'm pretty sure I said this before, but Sasha... If she was the true murderer here, she wouldn't have went out and sought a lawyer in the first place. She would have been like, yeah, I got away with it. Let's get the orca to take the blame. I did it. But so that makes no sense. It's definitely not Sasha. No way. It makes no sense. Just none. Marlon Rhymes, however, I might be willing to consider him, but there's the fact that he and Pearl Faye seem to be in some kind of developing relationship. Now, if he turns out to be the murderer of someone, well, wouldn't that just feel kind of mean-spirited? Like, I'm pretty dang sure Pearl in Dual Destinies here exists solely for this special downloadable content case. I'm not gonna see her in case 3, not gonna see her in case 4 or 5, no, she's just here for this case. And if that's the case, then, well, just having this plot thing to make Pearl feel real sad and depressed about being interested in a murderer is just a bit too cruel, you know? So I don't think it's Marlon. So that leaves DePlume and the, I think, unnamed vet person? I think we got a name. I forget. The vet or DePlume. And, well... Oh. Actually, could we... Technically speaking, we can't see whether or not she's actually blowing a whistle. Her back is to the camera, blocking the view of what she's doing with her right hand. Alright, damn. I'm not sure, it could be either. Yeah, I could buy Norma having some kind of motivation. She seems very self-righteous and has kind of a known agenda against this aquarium. But she already ragged on it in her most recent book. Why would she need to go to the extent of killing the captain of the whole place? I don't know. Meanwhile, the aforementioned vet is a huge question mark, so no telling. You know what? Who knows? There's no telling how large in scope this case will get. Maybe in the next investigation phase, we'll meet some whole entire new employee of the park. Anything could happen. I don't know. Well, at any rate, I think I've said my piece, so... I'm Zephyr the Jester. This is not the Great Ace Attorney. Thank you for watching. Hopefully, I'll catch you next time. So until then, please take care.